he went to
dude,
Israel and he
after
like
The Israelis or the
debated
Palestinians?
against like
after he
one of the modem down guys. Like he was debating against like one of the rabbi
no,
adjacent
no, no, I'm talking about what happened
people.
after the Kyle Rittenhouse shootings. Because remember, no, he got there was a I think Patreon actually blacklisted him, and he was kicked
Oh,
off of
okay. I
the
didn't
of
know
the
about
fund.
that.
No,
No,
he
but
was
all
kicked
I know
off
he
of
was arguing
yeah,
against like the Zionist rabbis in Israel when he
yeah, no,
visited.
because he was kicked off of the funding list after he
And they
said
all had like
about the
Brooklyn accents. It's
yeah,
so
he said
funny.
about the anti-Kyle protesters, or no, he said about BLM protesters, mow them down. I don't give a fuck about their lives. Like as in, bro, he did say that.
Yeah,
It was as
that's
if he was saying
based.
that.
That's
No, bro,
based.
he was saying that they should be killed or something. No, he said
Yeah.
he wouldn't care if someone shot them, and it was
Yeah,
controversial
they
stuff.
would
So
ban him for that. Yeah, makes
yeah,
sense.
so he did get blacklisted periodically, which is weird because I don't, he's more of a mainstream liberal guy and he has huge connections to the mainstream. But at the same time, I respect him for being honest and authentic. I do think that he's pretty authentic, to be honest. I mean,
He
I feel like
is.
he has his views and he doesn't really allow them to deviate on the basis of trends. Because his stances just haven't changed since he started debating people in 2016, since the legendary debate with John Tron. But I mean, what do you guys think? Destiny again,
Oh,
another
the John Tron.
John Tron shit. Yeah, that's such a deep cut. Yeah. It's what made him famous in debating, but what do you guys think of
Yeah,
Destiny? There's so
I
much
think
to
he's a
talk about when it comes to him, but
fucking idiot. I don't like. He didn't know who Marcus Aurelius was. He doesn't know where fucking Israel is on a map. He didn't
He's
know who
yeah.
been to
Francisco
Israel,
Franco
bro.
was.
He's literally been to Israel.
Yes, but he didn't know where it was on a map.
No, to
Or
be
was
honest,
it
it's not.
Ukraine?
It's
I don't think he
crazy.
knew where Ukraine was on a map.
Nah, bro.
It's
He
one of
no, you
those.
know what's funny? It's because now he's been switching into the foreign. I mean, he's talked about foreign policy at times in the past, but he's really been forced to actually just make a hard turn towards that direction and to really focus on it exclusively. And he's revealing his lack of knowledge about these topics because he doesn't know shit about the geography of the Middle East, bro.
Anyway,
He didn't know where Egypt was in relation to Syria. He said Syria
I
bordered
think,
Russia or some dumb shit like that. Just really basic mistakes. He had no idea
yeah,
what he was talking about. Yeah,
yeah.
I agree with you about that.
Anyway, that's
But
got me thinking of something. I think this is where
yeah.
we can start another debate. What do you guys think about? Do you guys support Ukraine or Russia?
Oh fuck. Actually,
I
I'm
would
gonna let
say
you guys go
Ukraine.
first. Because Pearson just said he supports Russia.
Russia?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he said that earlier.
You know what? Like, yeah, let's. Can we hear Pearson out?
Okay. Here's why.
I actually have to go, but now I'm interested. That actually took me back
So,
in. All right.
Raphael, do you support Ukraine?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's why. Basically, I'm arguing from the standpoint of an American who's concerned about the direction of my country, not about the direction of any other country, really. So, yes, I think that technically Ukraine is kind of in the right. I don't think Russia has a right to Ukraine's land, but I think I support Russia winning, and here's why: is because Russia winning that war will decrease the amount of hegemony that the United States has, right? A lot of people who are kind of on my end of politics want Ukraine to win for the reason of, when they lose, when Russia loses, then Ukraine will be weak enough for something like Azov Battalion to take over. I don't think that's going to happen. I
That's
think if Azov
that's
Battalion takes over, the first thing that's going to happen is they're going to get cooed because people in the world, when US controls hegemony, people get cooed for far less than what Azov Battalion would be doing. Gaddafi got cooed for basically no fucking reason. They cooed Ukraine in 2013. They cooed Ukraine in 2013 over like corruption. You don't think they're going to coup it when it becomes like a national socialist militia state? They're absolutely going to coup it instantly. And what's going to happen is that that's going to set the precedent that um, governments cannot rebel against like the neoliberal world order. What is going to happen if Russia wins is Russia and China and Iran are going to take on more global hegemony and they're going to have more of an influence on American politics. If the American government is weakened, then that gives us room to fix things in America. And when we fix things in America, who do you think is going to support us? It's going to be Russia, Iran, and China, right? Because
That sounds
China
very
supports
accelerationist of you.
it is. But
Yeah.
who does China support? China supports other Marxist Leninist countries. China doesn't care about like the stances they don't care about any socially conservative stuff. They do things that are way worse to their own people, like way more socially conservative. China right now is literally an ethno state that is committing like a genocide, and that's the genocide is fucking horrible. But they
Yeah, but
will
the
not have any
reasons.
moral reservations about expelling people from America. Russia, you look at Russia, they support Syria, they support Iran, they support all these states. However, they don't interfere with Israel because for some reason they want to be on Israel's good side because I guess Samson option or something. And then
Yeah.
Iran. So these three countries will probably support the kind of government that I would support taking over America, right? Whereas Ukraine, all that's going to happen is it's going to beat those countries back and give um, my position in America less bargaining power. That's basically my position.
I mean, I think it's all objectively true. It's just it just matters on what you value most. Because I mean, it's just a very, very utilitarian argument, right? Like it would put us in
Mm-hmm.
a better position. It would be better for the American citizen. It would the global balance of power would shift in a way that helps us. But, you know, this people in Ukraine would not feel the same way. You know, it's objectively bad for them. It's objectively bad for their relationship with Russia. Um, and I guess I mean the thing is I'm like I have a lot of family there. Like
Yeah, I have
I'm way
family
too
in
personally
Ukraine.
tied into it. Yeah, like I like my grandma grew up in Ukraine, so I can't possibly say, right? I can't be utilitarian about it, right? Because there's times when you can be utilitarian. In your case, it's understandable, right? But utilitarianism
Mm-hmm.
can be like just complete evil if you kind of value it over all other kind of moral senses, in which case I have some. So yeah, it's just I mean, if
Yeah.
I
Well,
wasn't
then I
tied
mean,
into it, I'd agree with you. Which I do
well, I
actually,
guess.
I do agree with you,
Well, the
but I
question
just
is for
can't.
Rafa is I have my opinions, but the question for Rafa is so why do you think that either okay, the invasion itself is wrong, Russia's in the wrong, Ukraine is a faction you support, and then two, relatedly, why do you think that Pearson's wrong about
I
this? If
don't
you
think that Pearson's wrong. I don't think that Pearson is right. Like with that, it's
within
just
a
all
framework.
strategic, right? No, like not
Yeah.
within any framework. That is what would happen, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that is what would happen, and in the ways that, like in what you value, Pearson, that would benefit you, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, there's nothing wrong about what you just said, right? And if that's what you value, right, that's what you want to happen, obviously, right? I value different things. So
Yeah, I get it.
and mine are much more simple because I have family there, and I've been kind of like personally, and like I like half my family's Russian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I speak Russian. I have like a huge Russian community in LA, right? Like everyone, my grandma's from Ukraine, she grew up in a village there, right? I've grown up like learning about Putin and like seeing
Yeah,
Zelensky,
Putin's
yeah,
really a
like so
piece
I'm
of
just
shit. I really don't like him.
I'm yeah, and the entire like Putin's invasion of Ukraine was a massive blunder, right? He didn't
Mm-hmm.
expect this response. He didn't expect it to go on for 5 years, right? He didn't think America would like send $50 billion to Ukraine or whatever, and it'd be just such a fucking huge pain in the ass for him. Like he just got way too cocky. I think for many years actually after it happened, I tried to find a way that would kind of rationalize it, and I started thinking that Putin's playing some sort of like 4D chess game, depending on he was thinking that Trump is going to get elected in 2024 and he would actually come out with the advantage, right? But the amount of like global backlash, economic backlash that's had on Russia as a country is just the cost greatly outweighs the benefit. And for what, right? You get like
Mm-hmm.
two territories in Ukraine. Like, what's that going to do for you, right? Like, you've killed like 500,000 of your own men, like there's
Yeah.
huge division in your country. It's a
Well,
terrible
then
move.
didn't he say that he wants to push westward and then maybe use that as a starting point from
Yeah,
which he can conquer other territories? So
yeah,
I don't
he just
support
wants
his
to like
I
he
don't
just
support the
wants to see
invasion,
the
but I don't know
greater
if it's
USSR again. He
I don't know
got
if he
into this
supports
like
the yeah, sorry, I don't
uh,
support the invasion, but I don't necessarily think that I wouldn't quite say that the claim that he only wants those two territories is an accurate one. I don't know if
no,
it's
no,
just
but
those
that's what
two. It
I'm
might
but
even be
that's what
more
I'm saying.
expansive.
It's like if he
Yeah.
doesn't want more than those two territories, that's even worse because then he's motivated by some like weird Alexander the Great vision right? Where he takes over Ukraine, he takes over all the like former USSR countries, right? That's not going to happen. We live in a different system now, right? It's a case, like many others, of a man who's been in power for too long and is starting to use it, right? It's having effects on his mental health and his decision making, right? Like it would on anyone. Um, but regardless of that, right, and regardless of the outcome that his gain of that territory would have on our position, I cannot possibly be in favor of it because it would have horrible kind of ripple effects on people I care about, on a country I care about, on something I'm personally invested in, right? So I just can't do it. I can't think in a utilitarian way because I just don't find it
Well,
right.
I mean, why do you guys, I think a more fundamental question too is why do you think that Putin even invaded in the first place? I feel like people sidestep that question, but we should really try to interrogate it and pierce to the bottom. There
I
was
think
definitely
they
a
were trying
context
to
within
join
which
NATO.
there
I
was a
think
context within which the invasion was embedded.
Yeah,
I think this is what
he was scared that
yeah,
they were going
sorry.
to join NATO.
You think that's basically the fundamental reason?
I
yeah.
really struggle here, right? Because there's two ways you can look at it. Either he made a mistake, right? Or there's been some sort of grand plan, right? And it's just he made a mistake, right? He got scared of them joining NATO, combined with his really, really flawed ego. It caused him to make a decision that was just ultimately, just a failure. I I think it's really difficult to try to find kind of a rational strategic explanation for why he invaded, because there might not be one, but I don't know.
You think there
Yeah.
might not be a
Well,
rational? Yeah, sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead,
yeah.
Pearson. Yeah.
I think throughout history there is kind of a theme of people competing for I think frankly he wanted some kind of natural resource that's part of it and also to deter NATO. Do you know anything about the natural resources in Ukraine, Raphael?
Um, yeah. Are you talking about agriculture or something else?
Anything? Because I know
Well,
the land is more fertile there. Russia is
yeah,
in a complete shit
was it
economy.
it's grain, I think, something like
Yeah,
wheat. Ukraine provides like fucking 80% of the world's wheat or something. Yeah.
yeah,
So he wanted that.
yeah. I think that was part of it, and then also fears of NATO.
Yeah. And see, those are two very bad reasons to invade a country.
I mean, they're kind
Horrible.
of you can understand where it's coming from though. I don't support it. I think it's fucking stupid.
You
But
can
I
understand
mean,
where it's coming from in the way like you can understand why a toddler threw a tantrum and like broke out the shit in the house, right? It's not rational, right? There's reasoning, right? He didn't do it because he just decided to, but it it was a bad move. I think with everyone, right, when they talk about this conflict, they try to look for a good reason why he invaded, right? Why did he do this? What is your master plan, right? And on my part, I was like, well, he knew Trump was going to get elected, right? He bet that he was going to get elected in 2024 and that would come out in his favor, right? But
yeah. Okay.
maybe.
One thing before you go, Raphael. So I think this entire conversation has been you coming from a more moralistic standpoint and me coming from a more utilitarian standpoint this whole time since we started this conversation like 2 hours ago. So,
Yeah.
um, where, what is your issue with utilitarianism and where do you derive your morals from?
That was what I was trying to
I
get at earlier with defining morality and the good. I mean, what's a good in existence, basically?
yeah,
I think that's the
I
first
just
question you have to ask as humans.
I think that until you have a kind of diff I don't know, it's a difficult question. I just think that you cannot you can have deontology, like a kind of moralistic ethical framework, and make your decisions off of that as a society, right? Without having a utilitarian kind of without leaning towards utilitarianism, and things would be better, right, than the opposite, where you have a purely utilitarian framework without any moralism, right? I think that like your moral values should always come first, right? And any utilitarian decision making should always be made in the lens of a moral framework. Because if you're making utilitarian decisions without any moral framework, then you can end up hurting a lot of people, and eventually it comes back to you, right? Like, what's good about like people having a common moral framework is that um, you can trust people, right, to make decisions, right, that don't negatively affect you personally, right? But when everyone's going around making utilitarian decisions, right, it helps you, and it helps like independent nations, independent individuals in the short term, right? But eventually you allow other people to also make utilitarian decisions which eventually affect you, right? I think it's just like it's a short-term, long-term thing. Utilitarianism in the short term is great because it allows people to make much quicker progress, right, at the cost of others, which will eventually get back to you. So yeah, I just think like that the ontological way of thinking should always come first, I guess.
Okay.
I have a point here to make, but I mean, Pearson, if you want to go first, go. I think
I
this is
mean,
really where it all goes back to. It just goes back to morality. Like it's a topic you
yeah.
can
It's
never really
always
escape. And that's what I
So
think. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
I think what Raphael is saying is that without morality, geopolitics and societies, um, well, societies and the world as a whole will devolve into chaos because there's no limit to, I guess, what they're willing to do to achieve their ambitions.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, of course. I
Um,
mean,
well, I think that frankly, most places are almost uh, utilitarian in almost every way, except for us. Frankly, I think America and Europe and Canada are pretty much the only ones that don't function off of utilitarianism to some extent. And I think that's why we are, and as the people that control global hegemony, all money in the world is based off the dollar, right? So we control hegemony. If we are the ones to not be utilitarian, then that fucks everybody up and they start using us as a parasite, and then it starts like running out of blood, basically, is what I think is happening right now, because the entire world, like you look at the Great Depression or 2007, those were global financial crises because we were, more moralistic with our economics. We were more, you know we were less utilitarian as far as inflation, right? We wanted to help more people and everything like that, and because of that it kind of destroyed um, destroyed everything, because